All right, let's get into the early Sportster front ends. Here I have some sets from 1972 going down to about 1965 right here. And we'll get into these legs and we'll take them apart and see what's inside of them. And so we'll take apart the tubes as well. And we'll look at those as well. Here I have a leg from a 1965 Sportster. And so you can see that that's got the two little struts down there, and they have a bell shaped on top of the leg. The two lower struts. These are about the same all the way to 1969. Here I have a leg from a 1969, and it's the same style. Okay. They still have that little step on top as well. Okay, going down the line, I have a fork leg from a 1970, and they look like this, and they've done away with the lower struts down there, and they still retain that little step on top of the fork leg. Okay, going down the line a little bit further, I have a leg from a 1971, 1972, and they are the same way. They don't have those two struts. They have an oil seal on top of the fork legs instead. Yeah, also in 1971 and 1972, they did improve them a bit. So the dampener is 1 more inch, and they have a spring in there as well. Now that spring helps you that when you hit your front brake really hard, that your front end does not go into a dive as much. Okay. Also, when you're taking these apart, you don't need a lot of specialty tools. You don't need much at all. The only thing you're really going to need here is a 5/8 socket, just like this one right here. And you're going to need one of these right here to take out your vent cap. And a snap ring tool to take out a snap ring that is inserted inside your fork to remove the dampener. Okay. And you'll need a tire bar, like a standard tire bar like this. It has a flat end on it like that. And that's going to be used to engage a little slot right up on top. We're going to put that bar all the way down the fork tube, down into the fork leg, and that's going to engage that slot. It's going to hold everything still while we remove the 5/8 bolt in the bottom of the fork leg itself. Okay. All right. Like I said, 1971, 1972. That the dampeners look like this right here with a little spring, and they're 1 more inch. And this style is from a 1969 and down. They're 1 more inch in length from 71 to 72, and they have that spring, as I said, and it's going to help when you hit the front brakes hard, that your front end is not going to go down into a deep dive. Okay, now when I rebuild all my older front fork legs, I always use a lathe style, and that improves the bike the way it sits in the stance and soaks up the bumps more, and it gives my front end 1 more inch, and the bike sits at a real nice stance as well. All right, so you can still buy these 1971 and 2 style on like aftermarket. Okay, the only thing you have to do is to drill out the smaller hole in the bottom of your older fork legs to accept a bigger bolt. If you're going to upgrade. Okay, that's all you have to do. Okay, in 1971 and 1972, they did away with the fork boots, and they went with a little cap instead, just like this one. So let's turn this thing around and let's just take it apart. We're going to pull out the vent cap right now. We will unscrew that vent cap and we'll get that out of the way. Let's just spin it right out of there. Take it all the way out and we'll set that aside. And I'm going to reach inside the tube and I'm going to pull out the long spring and I'll get that out of the way. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you rebuild these, I would also replace these old springs. They're very old and they're weak and they don't work well anymore. So I would replace these, and they're relatively cheap. So I would, so I always replace them. Okay, let's turn the tube back around again, and we are going to take our long bar. We are going to put it right down the fork tube all the way down, and we'll use this flat part of the bar to catch that top slot in the dampener top slot there. It's all the way down that fork leg. So let's put the bar down there, and I'm going to spin the bar around until I catch that slot. Okay, I got it right there. Now I'm going to lay the fork leg all the way down flat and set the bar down flat as well. That's going to hold everything still inside the fork leg while I remove the lower bolt. All right, let's spin the bolt out. Okay, now all we have to do, take out the bar, and then I'm going to remove the tube. Just pull the tube straight out. Okay, just pull the tube straight out, and I'll set down the lower leg, and then I'll get that out of the way right now. And the next thing I'm going to do is to remove the snap ring out of the tube to remove the lower dampener. Now the dampener's got to come out. Now I had just removed the snap ring. There it is right there, and it's located in the top of the bore of the tube. You take that snap ring out, set that aside, and now you pull everything out, and so now everything's free. Okay, now this is a good time to check out your tube to see if it's nice and straight. I would set these on a pair of V-blocks, and I'd get an indicator, and then I would spin it around to check to see if they're nice and straight. And we also want to inspect the inner bore of our legs as well. Okay. Now each leg has two brass sleeves. Okay, there's one sleeve up on top, right there, and one about 9 to 10 inches down right there. And we want to check to see if they are in spec or if they even exist in there. All right, now what we're going to do is to get our fork tube, and we want to see if our fork tube slides up and down the leg, and it's got to slide in there really easy. You can't have any tight spots in there, and you want it to move up and down all the way down there without any binding. All right. Okay, now your stock fork tubes are 1.312, okay, and your forks and the brass sleeves inside your fork legs are about 1.317, 1.318. You want about 2 to 3 thousandths on a side, so your fork tube slides in and out easily. You don't want any kind of stiff spots in there, and it's just fine if you have some slop in there. Okay, so it gets designed like that actually. I have just bought a brand new set of chrome-plated fork tubes, and they're a little bit oversized. They're at 1.315, and I'm going to ream out the brass sleeves to about 1.319 or so. So if you want to learn how to fit your tubes into your brand new set of brass sleeves, tune in next week. So I appreciate you guys, and I would appreciate it if you like and subscribe. You take care now, and I'll see you soon.